He was mean, fierce, and even considered a bully by some people. Despite spending 12 successful years at Old Trafford and winning 7 Premier League titles, 4 FA Cups, and the Champions League, many football legends have divided opinions about Roy Keane. So we've decided to put together the good, the bad, and the ugly. During the 2004-2005 season, and shortly after a young Cristiano joined Manchester United, the footage went viral where Keane appeared to be cussing at Ronaldo after he missed an opportunity in front of goal. Many felt that Keane's treatment was way too harsh, but Ronaldo has insisted that Keane helped him during his time at the club. In his controversial interview with Piers Morgan, Ronaldo called Keane his best captain ever, but someone else thinks that the current players at Old Trafford would not survive if Keane were to be in the dressing room. Earlier this year, the former Manchester United manager shared some of his thoughts with fans at an event at the Manchester Piccadilly Hotel. He talked about the challenges he faced as a manager and also reflected a lot on sharing the dressing room with iconic figures like Keane. Ole compared the current crop of players to the past generation and called them snowflakes, before moving on to say that they would have crumbled under the pressure of working with Roy Keane and Sir Alex Ferguson. Solskjaer added that if you shake up current players after a loss, they'll cry to their dad, mom, or agent. I also think that this current generation is not as tough as the past, but what are your thoughts on this? Meanwhile, City recently thrashed Manchester United 3-0 at Old Trafford, and Guardiola was seen talking to Erling Haaland after the match, but Roy Keane was unimpressed. He claimed that Guardiola was putting on a show for the camera and that coaching players on the pitch right after games was totally unnecessary because players needed to enjoy their victory. Guardiola disagreed with Keane and mentioned that he often wants to make his point while it is still fresh, but Guardiola then said that he respected Keane a lot. I can tell you for sure that earning the respect of a coach like Pep is no small feat, but you know what's even better? Getting praised by those who actually played with you. Former Manchester United goalkeeper Tim Howard says that Roy Keane had the greatest influence on his career. Howard recently told the Brilliant United podcast that he thought Keane was the most brilliant and calculated guy on the pitch, even though he was scared of him at the time. In Howard's words, I didn't necessarily appreciate it at the time, but when I moved through my career over the course of 20 years, I never ever encountered somebody who had the same ability to influence games. And then we have fellow Corkonian, Republic of Ireland international, and United stalwart Dennis Irwin, who told 442 that Roy Keane was the best player that he had ever played with. He also said that while Paul Scholes was a magnificent footballer and had a perfect partnership with Keane and with Giggs and Beckham wide of them, Keane remained the driving force back in the day, and that was something he appreciated. But someone else thinks that Keane's public image has been destroyed. Wes Brown spent 8 years as Keane's teammate at Old Trafford, and he strongly believes that the public image about Roy Keane isn't the truth. According to Brown, there is more to Keane's character. In his words, when I was a kid, Keane was scary. Nobody can be perfect, but he wanted perfection. What people didn't understand is that when you played really well, Roy would let you know. He wouldn't just be shouting at you when you did something wrong like many believed. He was a captain, and he was perfect for what we needed. Brown concluded by saying that Keane was very approachable and that if you went up to him for a chat, he had no problems. But let's switch gears a little bit and move to the managerial side of things. Not many folks know this, but the first man to give Roy Keane a break in management was his former Ireland teammate Niall Quinn. Back in 2006, Quinn headed a consortium that bought Sunderland in 2006, and according to Quinn, Keane rewarded his faith in him by doing the impossible, delivering promotion within months of his appointment. Back in 2019, Quinn told the Irish Times that Roy came and everything was glorious. He then added that Keane didn't just bring Man United into their dressing room, he also brought a winning mentality to Sunderland. He got the people to believe in themselves and be at the top of their game, pushing everyone to be the best versions of themselves. According to some of Keane's players, they sometimes felt almost unbeatable at times. But let me ask you guys, would you rather have Keane remain a pundit or return to the dugout? Personally, I think he should have another go at a managerial role. Before we knew Henderson to be captaining Liverpool to Premier League and Champions League titles, only a few fans knew him as an academy player at Sunderland. Although Henderson's breakthrough at the club came under Steve Bruce, he says that Keane was the first to recognize his quality. Henderson told Jamie Carragher on the Greatest Game podcast that Keane asked him whether he thought he was good enough to play for the first team as a young lad. And when he responded yes, He later got a phone call saying that he was in the first team squad for a preseason game at the Stadium of Light. According to Henderson, that's where it all started, and no doubt, he has nothing but gratitude for the Irishman. A series of underwhelming performances and forgettable losses has put the Red Devils manager under much scrutiny. As a result, Roy Keane and Carragher have questioned Ten Hag's position in the dugout, claiming that despite the Dutchman being in charge for more than a year, they are yet to see an identifiable style of play. But Ten Hag has hit back at them, stating that Keane's comments are a little too strong and that although he accepts that his players need to carry out his instructions better, his intentions for the club remain clear. Only time will tell. Do you see Ten Hag saving his job in the coming months, or do you think this is the beginning of the end? But back to Keane. What does one of his biggest rivals think about him? The Arsenal and Man United icons had an uneasy relationship on the field throughout their career, and although things have improved since retirement, there are still some tensions. When Vieira was the manager at Crystal Palace, he was once presented with Keane's shirt at a Palace training ground, and he cheekily refused to touch it. Still, he expressed his admiration for the Irishman. In Vieira's words, "So I loved the way that he was on the field. It was massive respect, and he was a leader. He was the captain of the team. He was the one who was driving the team and the players to compete at the level that he was, challenging the players." But when asked who was the better player between himself and Keane, Vieira responded that he was much better. Fans were surprised to see the pair go to an ice cream shop together. Vieira has admitted that he likes Keane a lot after working with him on TV, and he even sees him as a funny guy. And Keane has wasted absolutely no time in returning the favor. But just one last thing. Vieira could not resist the urge to say that he would beat Keane in a fight, but would have to take a beating in order to do so. But let's hear from another contemporary. Steven Gerrard has admitted on more than one occasion that he has always been a fan of the Irish legend Roy Keane, and that he would have loved to play with him. The Liverpool legend believes that they would have formed a brilliant duo, with Keane being able to offer protection and defense while he played further forward. Gerrard also remarked that Keane's consistency was something that his whole generation was very well aware of. At this point, it is pretty clear that most legends have nothing but positive words for Keane despite his seemingly controversial nature. At least from a footballing standpoint, they believe that he's a true icon of the sport and one of the best midfielders in history. It is safe to say that his legacy is set in stone. But let me know, what do you think of Roy Keane as a player and as a person?